Just to recap what happened over the last couple of days. I think it's quite important that we actually pay attention to what's going on here and understand. There are people who are running around going, "Oh yeah, the Democrats won," and there are people who are running around going, "Oh yeah, the Republicans won." And it's not either of them. It's the billionaires who won. The capital gains tax. Now, here's just kind of a simple setup for this thing. There's two ways you can earn income in the United States. They used to be called earned or unearned income. Now, they don't use the word unearned so much anymore because it sounds kind of Frank Luntz wouldn't like that. So it's called capital gains or dividends or interest, carried interest. But basically, the two ways that you can take money and put it in your personal checking account out of a business is you can write yourself, or you can have the business, assuming it's not your own business, the business can write you a paycheck, which is how most people take their pay, and virtually all small businesses do. You will hear Republicans say, "Oh, well, you're going to, if you do away with capital gains, you're going to raise taxes on small businesses." Sorry, I own a small business. I can tell you. I called up my CPA, several years ago and said, "Hey, this capital gains thing is kind of cool. Can I own a bunch of stock in my own company. Can I declare a dividend?" And he was like, "No, you can't do that. That's considered tax evasion." So small businesses can't do that. I have to take a paycheck out of my own company, and it's taxed it's going to be taxed, it would have been, it's now going to be taxed at 39.6% or whatever it is. The old Clinton tax rate. Actually, it won't be taxed at that much. It'll be taxed because I don't make more than $450,000, but it would if I did. So that's the top tax rate for earned income. For unearned income, now this is how Mitt Romney makes a living. It's how Paris Hilton makes a living. It's how George W. Bush was making a living when he was born with his trust fund. Basically, people who have what's called passive income. In other words, they're living off their investments. Now, I'm not talking about grandpa who's living off his pension or who's living off a little bit of, a couple $1,000 a year he's getting from his the stock that he bought back when he was a young'un. Because, yes, that's capital gains, but he's making so little. Because the tax is a progressive tax, so he's not paying capital gains tax of any consequence. But for the people who are making $1 million a year or hundreds of thousands, over 450,000 actually, or 10 million a year, or in the case of a dozen guys on Wall Street, over $1 billion a year. If you make money by the sweat of your brow, if you're a surgeon or a rocket scientist or a researcher or, fill in the blanks, anything, you pay up to 39.6% income tax. But if you make your money with money, like Mitt Romney did, like Paris Hilton does, with her inheritance, like the Walton heirs do with their inheritance, if you make your money with money, used to be that you paid a maximum 15% income tax. It was called the capital gains rate. By used to be, I mean up until the end of last year, 2 days ago. And then at the end of the year, midnight, December 31st, that capital gains rate went from 15% all the way up to 39.6%. So all of a sudden, the Koch brothers' income and the Walton heirs' income and all of the income that they're getting went from a 15% tax rate to an almost 40% tax rate. Bang, just like that. Now, if they were taking it as paychecks, it will still be taxed at that rate. If it's over $450,000 a year for a family, $400,000 for an individual. But most people at that income level don't take it as paychecks. First of all, a company can only deduct the first $1 million in salaries that they pay to any individual. So most companies don't write paychecks for more than $1 million because it's not tax deductible to the business. So how then, you ask, can CEOs like Stephen J. Hemsley of United Healthcare make $1 billion, $1,000 million. How can he do that in less than a decade? Well, you pay them in stock. And then when they sell the stock, it's called capital gains. And they pay a maximum 15% income tax, which jumped up to 39.6% at the end of the year. And then came along this legislation, which dropped it back down to 20%. And if it's less than $450,000, it's 15%. So guess who won? The real winners were the billionaires. Now, nobody's much talking about that, except, there's a few blogs that you can read that are like blogs for billionaires, where they're, literally, the investors' blogs. And, missed the bullet on that one. So, on the one hand, you've got people who are supportive of Democrats and the president, politically and, in memosphere, saying, well, it was a great victory. It was the first major tax increase in 20 years. And arguably, they're right, if the vote had been held before the end of the year. But it wasn't. In fact, even the Senate waited until after midnight for the vote. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's when the House votes that it becomes law. So, but because they waited until after the first of the year, which is exactly what I've been predicting for 6 months now on this program, almost every day, everybody goes, oh, the fiscal cliff, all right. And I'm like, don't worry. They'll take care of it the day after, January 1st. They'll take care of it. And guess what? They did. Because the day after the end of the year, the Bush tax cuts expired. They were passed by reconciliation. In other words, they couldn't be filibustered. But legislation passed by reconciliation can only last for 10 years. Obama extended them for 2 years when the Republicans held hostage the nation and actually the nation's unemployed people, unemployment insurance. And so that 12 years, that ran out. So the tax rates went up. Capital gains rate, the rate for millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires went up to 39.6%. And so in rides the House and the Senate, and they cut that back down to 20%. So you could say this is the biggest tax break in history, or not in history, but one of the biggest in modern histories. And that's true too. I'm inclined to say that the winner here is the president and the Democrats because of the optics of it. This is perceived as a tax cut. Excuse me, as a tax increase. This is perceived by the American people as raising taxes on rich people. When in fact what happened was that the top tax rates on rich people, the Bush tax cuts expired, taxes went up, and Congress then came in and said, okay, we're going to keep those top tax rates on people who earn over $450,000 a year, but on unearned income over $450,000 a year, we're going to drop it from 39.6% down to 20%. So Mitt Romney's tax rate actually went up slightly as a result of this. It was 15% last year. It's 20% this year, Paris Hilton's tax rate. But it's still nothing close to what, surgeons make, or pay, rather, excuse me. So you get this? But the Republicans are trying to pretend like they got had by the president because they want to play the victim. The Democrats, and, to their base, oh, we need you get more of the out voting for Republicans so we can, whatever. And then you got the Democrats who are trying to claim a victory. And I think, we should just clearly look at what it is.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Politically, it's a Democratic victory. Economically, in reality, it's a victory for the billionaires.